Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this. If everything you owned, every title you held, and every mask you wore was stripped away, what would remain? That, my friends, is your character. That is what you are built on the backs of others. That is what success is based on. Character isn't revealed in your best moments. It's tested in the quiet, unnoticed corners of your life. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you how you can discover the true character of anyone. Not with 100 questions or a lifetime of guessing, but by observing just 5 simple things. If you understand these, you'll never be deceived by appearances again. Let me set the stage with a story, a moment that changed how I see the world. It was years ago on a cold morning. I was in a cafe sipping my coffee when I saw something that struck me. A young businessman, dressed to the nines, was barking orders into his phone. His tone was sharp, dismissive, and filled with arrogance. Moments later, the barista handed him his order. He barely glanced at her, let alone thanked her. But here's where it gets interesting. An elderly man stood in line behind him, wearing worn clothes and a humble smile. When it was his turn, he greeted the barista warmly, called her by name, and asked about her day. No rush, no pretense, just genuine kindness. In that moment, I realized something profound. The young man had everything, money, status, and youth, but his character was bankrupt. The elderly man had none of those outward markers of success, yet he carried himself with a dignity that couldn't be bought. This isn't just about politeness. It's about revealing who we are in the smallest interactions. Because how you treat someone who has nothing to offer you, someone who can't advance your career, improve your social standing, or make you look good, says everything about who you are. It's in those moments that your true character steps out of the shadows and into the light. Imagine a storm brewing. The sky darkens, the winds pick up, and you're caught in the middle of it. Now picture this storm as a metaphor for conflict, a disagreement, a betrayal, or a moment when everything seems to turn against you. It's in that storm, in the heat of the moment, that people reveal their true selves. Think about it. When tempers flare and emotions run high, do they stay calm and composed, or do they let anger consume them? Do they choose to communicate and find solutions, or do they resort to blame, shouting, or even silence as a weapon? It's not the conflict itself that defines us, it's how we respond. I remember seeing a heated argument between 2 colleagues years ago. One was accused of making a critical mistake, and instead of owning up to his actions, he deflected blame, pointing fingers at everyone else. The other, who had every right to lash out, paused, took a deep breath, and said, "Let's fix this together." That moment stuck with me because it showed the stark difference between a reactive, defensive mindset and a composed, solution-looking attitude. Conflict is a magnifying glass for character. It strips away the pretense and reveals whether someone is guided by ego or empathy, pride or humility. Pay attention to how people act in the storms of life. Those moments tell you more about them than years of smooth sailing ever could. Success and failure are 2 sides of the same coin. Both have the unique ability to strip away the masks we wear and expose our true character. Success can be intoxicating, filling people with a sense of pride and accomplishment, while failure can feel like a crushing weight, testing one's resilience and resolve. How someone navigates these extremes tells you everything you need to know about who they really are. Picture this: a young entrepreneur finally makes it big after years of struggling. The spotlight finds them, the accolades pour in, and their name becomes synonymous with success. But instead of lifting others as they climb, they become arrogant, dismissive, and self-centered. Contrast that with another story. A teacher who worked tirelessly but faced setbacks in achieving her goals. Back in the day, when failure came, instead of giving up, she embraced it as a lesson, found her strength, and inspired her students to persevere. Success often magnifies what's already inside. If someone's heart is humble, success will make them more generous, more grateful. But if they're driven by ego, it will inflate their sense of superiority. Failure, on the other hand, is a mirror that reflects our capacity for growth. Some people crumble under its weight, while others use it as a stepping stone to something greater. It's in those moments of triumph and defeat that character shines through. The person who celebrates their victories with grace and learns from their failures with humility is someone you can trust. Someone who understands that true character isn't built in the easy moments, but in how we handle the highs and lows of life. Power is a curious thing. It doesn't create character, it amplifies it. When someone gains power, whether it's a leadership role, financial influence, or even a moment of authority in a small situation, their actions under that power reveal the core of who they are. Will they use it to uplift others or to dominate? Will they lead with empathy or with intimidation? Think about history's greatest leaders, the ones we celebrate for their strength and vision. What made them great wasn't just their ability to command. It was what they did with that command. Nelson Mandela, for example, could have used his power to retaliate against those who oppressed him. Instead, he chose reconciliation, proving that true power lies in the ability to heal, not hurt. Now consider the opposite. There are countless examples of people who let power corrupt them. A manager who belittles their team to assert dominance. A politician who prioritizes their interests over the people they serve. These individuals don't just misuse power, they reveal their true nature. From their name-calling to their accidental appearance, they present the powerful veneer. The beauty of power is that it offers a choice: to lead with integrity or to exploit. A person of character doesn't see power as an end in itself, but as a tool to create positive change. They understand that power, when wielded responsibly, has the potential to inspire and uplift. But when abused, it diminishes the wielder more than anyone else. Watch closely when someone holds the reins. Their decisions in those moments will tell you who they are. Not the person they claim to be, but the person they truly are. Power doesn't change people. It simply gives them a stage to show the world their heart. Picture this: a dimly lit room, no audience, no cameras, no one to applaud or criticize. It's just you, alone with your thoughts and your choices. In these moments of solitude, where the world isn't watching, your true character comes to life. What do you do when there's no one around to hold you accountable? That's where integrity is born or lost. Consider this example. A worker stays late in the office to finish a project. There's no supervisor to notice, no extra credit to be earned. They can easily cut corners or leave it unfinished, but instead they pour their heart into the task, knowing it's the right thing to do. Contrast this with someone who talks about honesty and responsibility, but sneaks shortcuts or indulges in selfish behavior the moment no one is looking. And it's easy to put on a show when we're under the spotlight. We smile for the cameras, act kind in public, and play the part we want the world to see. But what happens behind closed doors? Do we keep our promises when there's no one to verify them? Do we maintain our standards when there's no applause for doing so? True character is revealed in those quiet, unobserved moments. It's the decision to do what's right, not because someone's watching, but because it's a reflection of who you are. It's staying honest when no one would know if you lied. It's showing compassion when there's no reward for doing so. If you want to know someone's true nature, don't just watch how they act in the spotlight. Pay attention to what they do when the stage is empty. That's where authenticity resides, in the choices made when the only witness is their own conscience. Before we dive into the heart of understanding someone's true character, there's one critical warning we must heed: the danger of rushing to judgment. We live in a world that thrives on snap decisions, where first impressions are treated as final verdicts. But here's the truth: character is not revealed in a fleeting moment. It unfolds over time through patterns, consistency, and how someone behaves across different circumstances. Think about it. How often have we judged someone based on a single interaction? Maybe it was someone who seemed distant or abrupt during a first meeting. But what if they were having a tough day, dealing with challenges you couldn't see? On the flip side, someone might charm you with a warm smile and eloquent words, only to later show behaviors that contradict that polished exterior. Rushing to judgment can blind us to the complexities of human nature. People are multi-layered, and their actions are often shaped by a combination of their character and their circumstances. It's like reading one chapter of a book and thinking you know the whole story. You don't. You need to see how the plot develops, how the character responds to adversity, how they grow or don't through the twists and turns of life. Steve Kerr is seeing that practical knowledge of business building and managing lines without internalizing the messages from the education. This is why it's essential to observe people over time. Watch how they handle success, how they treat others when no one is watching, and how they behave in moments of pressure and conflict. A single moment may show you a glimpse, but the full picture requires patience and attention. So, before you draw conclusions about someone, give them and yourself the gift of time. Reserve judgment until you've seen enough to truly understand who they are. Because character, like truth, has a way of revealing itself to those willing to look beyond the surface. Consistency is the foundation of true character. It's easy to put on a show of kindness, honesty, or integrity in isolated moments when the spotlight is on us. But the real measure of a person lies in the patterns they create, the habits, behaviors, and choices they make day after day in every setting and with every person. Who are you in all aspects of your life? Not just from the social aspect of being drunk or sleeping with yourself. Imagine someone who treats their colleagues with respect at work but is dismissive and impatient with their family at home. Or think about a leader who speaks passionately about ethics and fairness in public but bends the rules in private for personal gain. These inconsistencies don't just chip away at trust, they reveal the gap between the image someone projects and the person they truly are. Consistency isn't about being perfect. No one is immune to bad days or moments of weakness, but someone of true character strives to align their actions with their values, no matter the situation. They don't change their principles based on who's watching, what's convenient, or what they stand to gain. Their integrity acts as a compass, guiding them in both calm seas and turbulent storms. Take a moment to reflect on the people you admire most. Chances are it's not just their achievements or charisma that stand out. It's their reliability. You know they'll show up, keep their promises, and treat others with respect, regardless of the circumstances. That kind of consistency creates a sense of trust and stability that's invaluable in any relationship, whether personal or professional. So if you want to truly understand someone, look for the patterns. Don't just focus on their best moments or their worst mistakes. Pay attention to how they show up time and time again across the spectrum of their lives. Because in the end, character isn't built in a single moment. It's revealed through a lifetime of consistent choices. Emotion is one of the most powerful forces in human nature, capable of driving our actions, shaping our decisions, and revealing our deepest truths. Yet it's not the presence of emotion that defines us, it's how we manage it. In moments of emotional intensity, whether joy, anger, fear, or sadness, a person's true character often shines through. Imagine someone who's been wronged, deeply and undeniably. The natural reaction might be anger, or even the desire for revenge. But how do they channel that emotion? Do they lash out, fueled by rage, or do they take a moment to reflect, to understand, and to respond with wisdom? The difference is striking, and it tells you more about their character than any words ever could. Similarly, consider moments of overwhelming joy or triumph. It's easy to let emotions carry us away, to celebrate in ways that may unintentionally belittle or exclude others. But a person of true character finds balance, sharing their happiness without overshadowing those around them. Then there's fear, the kind that can paralyze or provoke irrational behavior. A leader facing a crisis may feel fear, but instead of succumbing to it, they steady themselves and guide others through uncertainty. That ability to remain grounded, even when emotions threaten to take over, is a hallmark of resilience and strength. Finally, let's talk about sadness, the kind that cuts deep and leaves us vulnerable. Some people close off, wallowing in their pain, while others turn their sorrow into empathy, reaching out to support others who may be struggling. It's in these moments of emotional depth that you see whether someone's heart is open or closed to the world. Managing emotions doesn't mean suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging them, understanding their roots, and choosing how to act in ways that align with our values. If you want to understand someone's true character, watch how they navigate the storms of their own emotions. Their ability to act with grace, even in the most turbulent times, speaks volumes about who they truly are. When it comes to understanding true character, one of the most telling factors is how a person responds to responsibility. Responsibility isn't just about fulfilling obligations. It's about owning the consequences of one's actions, standing by commitments, and stepping up when others depend on you. Think about a scenario where someone is tasked with leading a project. The stakes are high and the pressure is mounting. A person of true character won't just focus on meeting deadlines. They'll ensure the process is fair, inclusive, and respectful to everyone involved. They'll take responsibility for both success and setbacks, never passing blame or basking in glory that isn't solely theirs. On the other hand, imagine someone who avoids accountability when things go wrong. Perhaps they make excuses, point fingers, or shrink away when their team faces challenges. This kind of behavior not only damages trust, but reveals a lack of courage and integrity. Responsibility isn't always easy. It can be heavy and uncomfortable, but it is essential for building credibility and respect. Responsibility also shows up in the small, everyday decisions. It's the friend who remembers a promise, the coworker who ensures their part of the job is done without needing reminders, or the family member who steps up during times of crisis. These moments may seem minor, but they reflect a consistency in character that speaks louder than grand gestures. What's more, responsibility extends beyond personal gain. It's about recognizing our impact on others and the world around us. A responsible person doesn't just look out for their own interests. They consider how their actions affect those who depend on them, whether that's family, friends, colleagues, or their community. In the end, responsibility is about ownership. It's about showing up not just when it's convenient, but when it's necessary. If you truly want to understand someone, watch how they handle responsibility. Do they embrace it with integrity, or do they shy away? That answer will tell you more about their character than 1,000 words ever could. Life has a way of testing us when we least expect it, often in moments where no one is watching. These are the instances when there are no cameras, no applause, no judgment, just the quiet solitude where our true selves emerge. It's in these moments that integrity, the foundation of true character, is either confirmed or revealed as lacking. Show your faults, confirm or revealed as lacking. Imagine someone finding a wallet on an empty street. No one else is around and there's a significant amount of money inside. The decision they make at that moment without the pressure of being observed or the influence of others' opinions speaks volumes about who they are. Do they pocket the money and move on, rationalizing it as a stroke of luck? Or do they make the effort to find the owner, driven by a sense of right and wrong that exists independently of reward or recognition? The choices we make in private often carry more weight than the ones we make in public. When the audience is gone and the only person we're accountable to is ourselves, that's when our values are truly tested. Do we cut corners when no one will know? Do we keep promises when there's no one to enforce them? These decisions, seemingly small, form the backbone of our character. That's the choices, seemingly small, form the backbone of our character. Consider the quiet acts of kindness that go unnoticed, like someone leaving food for a struggling neighbor without expecting acknowledgement, or staying late to help a colleague without seeking credit. These moments reveal a depth of character that isn't driven by external validation, but by an internal compass. And in this case, integrity in solitude also means staying true to your principles, even when it's inconvenient or challenging. It's easy to uphold values when it's beneficial or when others are watching. But what about when doing the right thing requires sacrifice? The person who stays honest under these conditions, who does what's right even when it's difficult, is someone whose character is as steady as a rock. So, if you want to understand someone's true nature, pay attention to what they do when the lights are off, the crowd is gone, and the stage is empty. It's not just about what they do when the world is watching, it's about the person they are when no one else is. That's where true character lives, in the quiet corners of life, where only the conscience bears witness. One of the most revealing aspects of a person's character is how they treat those who are often overlooked. The waiter, the janitor, the delivery driver, the receptionist. These interactions, often fleeting and seemingly insignificant, speak volumes about who someone truly is. How a person engages with those who hold no power over them or offer no tangible benefit unveils the depth of their empathy and respect for others. Picture this. A high-powered executive walks into a restaurant. They're courteous and charming with their colleagues, but dismissive toward the server, barely acknowledging their presence or effort. Contrast that with someone who, regardless of their status, takes the time to greet the server warmly, ask how their day is going, and thank them for their service. The difference is striking, and it's not about manners, it's about mindset. True character is rooted in recognizing the humanity of every individual, no matter their role or position. It's about understanding that respect isn't something you reserve for people who can help you or improve your status. It's something you give freely because it reflects your own values. These small interactions also reveal whether someone leads with entitlement or humility. Do they act as though the world owes them special treatment, or do they appreciate the effort of those around them, no matter how small the task? A kind word, a moment of eye contact, or a simple thank you costs nothing but carries immense value. It shows that a person sees others not just as roles they play, but as people with their own stories, struggles, and significance. This isn't about grand gestures or performative kindness. It's about everyday actions that reflect a genuine respect for others. The way someone treats those who can offer them nothing in return is one of the clearest indicators of their character. If you want to truly know someone, watch how they interact with the people society often ignores. That's where the essence of their humanity is most visible. Another powerful lens through which to view someone's true character is their ability to keep promises. Promises, whether big or small, are not just words. They're commitments that hold the weight of trust. When a person makes a promise, they're essentially saying, "You can rely on me. I will stand by what I've said." The way they uphold or break that promise reveals the strength of their integrity. Think about the promises people make every day. A parent promising their child they'll show up to their soccer game. A friend promising to lend a hand when you're in need. A leader promising to stand by their team in difficult times. These aren't just empty words. They are bonds that build trust and connection. When kept, they reinforce relationships and inspire confidence. When broken, they erode trust and create doubt. Letting your mind go wild with imagination is how you satiate that disconnect. Letting your mind go wild with imagination is how you satiate the disconnect. Keeping a promise often requires sacrifice. It's not always convenient, and sometimes it means going out of your way or facing challenges to honor your word. But that's exactly why keeping promises is such a clear indicator of character. It shows whether someone values their integrity more than their comfort or convenience. On the other hand, breaking promises, especially without acknowledgement or effort to make amends, reveals a disregard for trust and accountability. It suggests that the person places their needs or desires above their commitment to others. While everyone may fall short occasionally, it's how someone handles those moments that matters most. Do they apologize sincerely, take responsibility, and strive to make things right? Or do they dismiss their broken word as unimportant? Promises also extend to unspoken commitments, the loyalty between friends, the dedication to a job, or the respect in a relationship. These implicit promises are just as telling as they reflect someone's ability to stay true to their values and responsibilities without the need for external enforcement. If you want to understand someone's character, watch how they treat their promises. Do they honor their commitments even when it's inconvenient? Do they value trust enough to prioritize it over their own ease? In the end, a promise kept isn't just a mark of reliability, it's a testament to the depth of someone's integrity and respect for others. The true depth of a person's character often comes to light in how they respond to the success of others. In a world that often pits individuals against one another in competition, celebrating someone else's accomplishments can feel like a challenge to ego. Yet it's in these moments that we see whether someone is truly secure, humble, and supportive, or whether envy and insecurity take the lead. Picture a workplace where one team member gets a big promotion. Some colleagues might congratulate them with sincerity, recognizing their hard work and dedication. Others might offer lukewarm congratulations while quietly harboring resentment, unable to appreciate another's success without comparing it to their own situation. That difference isn't just a reflection of their feelings, it's a window into their values and emotional maturity. Genuine celebration of others' success stems from a sense of self-assurance and generosity. It takes a strong and confident person to recognize that someone else's achievements don't diminish their own worth. They understand that life isn't a zero-sum game and that celebrating others creates a positive ripple effect, fostering an environment of encouragement and mutual growth. On the flip side, envy can reveal insecurities that undermine character. When someone downplays or dismisses another's success, it's often rooted in their own feelings of inadequacy or fear of being overshadowed. Instead of lifting others up, they might try to pull them down, masking their discomfort with criticism or indifference. But the way someone responds to others' victories doesn't just reflect their character, it also shapes their relationships. A person who uplifts others builds bonds of trust and respect. They become someone people can turn to for encouragement and support. Meanwhile, someone who reacts with envy or bitterness risks alienating themselves, as people sense the lack of genuine care in their interactions. To understand someone's true character, watch how they act when others succeed. Are they genuinely happy for their friends, family, or colleagues? Do they cheer for the victories of others, big or small? Or do they let their own insecurities cloud their ability to celebrate? The way someone treats the success of others says as much about their heart as how they handle their own triumphs. That's how they cherish as much as they care. The way someone treats the success of others says as much about their heart as how they handle their own triumphs. Adversity is one of life's greatest teachers, and how a person responds to challenges and setbacks is a profound reflection of their character. It's easy to be gracious and composed when everything is going smoothly, but it's in the face of failure, loss, and hardship that someone's true nature emerges. Adversity strips away pretense, revealing resilience, humility, and grit, or in some cases, a lack thereof. Imagine an athlete who suffers a devastating injury, cutting short a promising career. Some might retreat into anger or self-pity, allowing the setback to define them. But others find a way to rise, channeling their energy into new goals, perhaps mentoring younger athletes or using their platform to inspire others. That choice to turn adversity into growth showcases incredible inner strength and a refusal to be defeated by circumstance. Adversity doesn't just test resilience, it also reveals a person's values. Consider someone who loses a business or faces financial hardship. Do they resort to dishonesty, cutting corners, or exploiting others in an attempt to recover? Or do they maintain their integrity, working diligently to rebuild while staying true to their principles? These decisions made under pressure are far more telling than words or promises made in times of comfort. Challenges also expose a person's ability to empathize. When someone has faced difficulty themselves, they often develop a deeper understanding of others' struggles. They become more compassionate, more willing to lend a hand or offer encouragement because they know firsthand what it feels like to be in need. On the other hand, those who respond to adversity by becoming bitter or self-absorbed may miss the opportunity to grow and connect on a deeper level. Finally, adversity shows whether someone is capable of taking responsibility. When faced with failure, do they own their mistakes, learn from them, and strive to improve, or do they blame others, deflect accountability, and repeat the same errors? Growth through adversity requires humility and the willingness to confront one's own flaws. If you truly want to understand someone's character, observe how they handle life when the odds are stacked against them. Do they crumble under the weight of difficulty, or do they rise with determination and grace? Adversity may be a harsh test, but it's also the truest mirror of the human spirit, reflecting who we are at our core. One of the clearest windows into a person's character is how they behave when they hold power over others. Power, whether in the form of authority, influence, or privilege, doesn't change people. It reveals them. When someone is given control or leverage, it brings their true values and priorities to the forefront. Do they use their power to uplift and empower others, or do they wield it to dominate and serve their own interests? Consider a manager who oversees a team. They have the authority to set schedules, allocate resources, and provide feedback. Some managers use this position to create an environment of trust and growth, listening to their team, offering support, and sharing credit for successes. These are the leaders who see their power as a responsibility, not a privilege. They lead with humility and use their influence to elevate others. Contrast this with a manager who micromanages, belittles team members, or takes credit for others' work. Their behavior shows that they view power as a tool for control rather than a platform for collaboration. This kind of leadership not only damages morale, but also exposes insecurities and a lack of respect for those they oversee. Power also reveals how people treat those who cannot push back. A wealthy individual who uses their resources to advocate for the underprivileged demonstrates compassion and a sense of duty. On the other hand, someone who flaunts their wealth or exploits others shows a lack of empathy and a self-centered worldview. Even in smaller, everyday situations, the way someone handles power is telling. It's the difference between a driver who cuts others off because they're in a bigger car and one who patiently gives way. Or a teacher who uses their influence to inspire rather than intimidate. These moments, though seemingly trivial, reflect deeply ingrained attitudes. Power is a magnifier of character. It amplifies the good or exposes the flaws that might otherwise remain hidden. To truly understand someone, observe how they act when they're in a position of advantage. Do they use their power to uplift, share, and serve? Or do they exploit, diminish, and control? The choices they make in these moments speak louder than any words or promises ever could. How someone handles criticism is one of the most revealing tests of their character. Criticism, whether constructive or harsh, challenges the ego, pokes at vulnerabilities, and forces self-reflection. A person's response to it shows their level of humility, emotional maturity, and willingness to grow. Criticism is often fueled by a need to be better, to be greater, to be more, to be bester. And we all use criticism for this reason. Imagine an artist receiving feedback on their work. Some might react defensively, dismissing the critique as invalid or attacking the person offering it. This response reveals insecurity, an unwillingness to acknowledge imperfection, or a fear of vulnerability. On the other hand, a person with strong character listens attentively, separates emotion from the message, and considers how they can use the input to improve. Even if they disagree with the critique, they approach it with respect and an open mind. Criticism also tests patience and grace. Think of public figures who face intense scrutiny, athletes, leaders, or performers. The way they handle harsh, sometimes unfair criticism often speaks volumes. Do they retaliate with bitterness or vitriol, or do they maintain composure, addressing valid concerns while rising above the noise? Those who can respond with dignity and professionalism earn respect, even from critics. True character is also evident in how someone distinguishes between constructive and destructive criticism. A mature individual seeks feedback from trusted sources, values perspectives that challenge their assumptions, and recognizes the difference between helpful advice and baseless negativity. They don't let unwarranted criticism derail them, but neither do they dismiss all feedback out of hand. Instead, they extract the lessons and continue growing. Finally, how someone handles criticism affects their relationships. A person who accepts feedback gracefully fosters trust and openness. They create an environment where others feel safe to speak honestly, knowing their input will be valued rather than met with hostility. Conversely, someone who reacts poorly to criticism may alienate those around them, creating barriers to communication and collaboration. To truly understand someone's character, observe how they react when they're criticized. Do they lash out, become defensive, or ignore it entirely? Or do they embrace the opportunity to learn and grow, demonstrating humility and resilience? A person's response to criticism reveals not just their mindset, but also their capacity for self-improvement and their ability to engage meaningfully with others. The way someone approaches forgiveness is a profound indicator of their character. Forgiveness isn't just an act of letting go. It's a testament to a person's capacity for empathy, understanding, and emotional strength. It shows whether they prioritize healing and growth over holding on to resentment or seeking revenge. Imagine a situation where someone has been wronged, perhaps betrayed by a close friend or let down by a family member. Forgiveness in such cases isn't easy. It requires looking beyond the hurt to see the humanity of the person who caused the pain. A person of true character recognizes that forgiveness isn't about excusing the wrongdoing. It's about freeing themselves from the heavy burden of anger and bitterness. They choose to move forward, valuing peace over prolonged conflict. Forgiveness also reveals emotional maturity. It's easy to stay angry, to hold on to grudges as a way of protecting oneself. But true strength lies in vulnerability, in the ability to say, I was hurt, but I'm choosing to let this go for the sake of my well-being and for the possibility of reconciliation. This decision reflects not weakness, but incredible courage and self-awareness. On the other hand, the inability to forgive often points to unresolved insecurities or a lack of emotional resilience. While everyone has their limits, those who refuse to forgive, even for minor offenses, often carry an inner turmoil that colors their interactions and relationships. They may struggle to trust others, keeping walls up that prevent meaningful connections. They're mind pests that are embedded within and create life-offering barriers. More importantly, though, resistance provides opportunities. Forgiveness also highlights a person's perspective on justice versus compassion. Someone who forgives understands that everyone makes mistakes and that growth often comes through learning from them. They extend grace, knowing that they too may need it someday. Conversely, a person who clings to resentment may have a more rigid worldview, where mistakes are seen as irredeemable rather than as opportunities for growth. Ultimately, forgiveness is as much about the forgiver as it is about the forgiven. It's a decision to prioritize healing over hurt, to release the hold that the past has on the present. To understand someone's character, look at how they handle the opportunity to forgive. Do they choose empathy, growth, and peace? Or do they remain trapped in anger and blame? The answer reveals not only their values, but also their inner strength and ability to move forward with grace. One of the most telling aspects of a person's character is how they handle success. Success, while often celebrated, can be a double-edged sword. It has the power to magnify a person's virtues or their flaws. Whether someone uses their achievements to uplift others or becomes arrogant and self-centered reveals their true nature. Consider a professional who reaches the pinnacle of their career. They've worked hard, overcome challenges, and now enjoy recognition and rewards. Some people use this moment to give back, mentoring others, sharing knowledge, and creating opportunities for those who follow. Their success becomes a platform to inspire and elevate, showing that they remain grounded and connected to their values. On the other hand, some individuals let success inflate their ego. They might begin to look down on others, dismissing those who haven't reached the same heights. They forget the support and collaboration that likely contributed to their achievements and instead adopt a mindset of superiority. This behavior doesn't just alienate others, it reveals a lack of humility and gratitude. Success also tests a person's priorities. Do they remain loyal to the people and principles that supported them along the way? Or do they abandon their roots, chasing greater recognition or material gain at the expense of integrity? Staying true to one's values amidst the allure of success requires remarkable character and self-awareness. Another hallmark of character is how someone treats those who knew them before their rise. Do they maintain relationships with old friends, colleagues, and mentors? Or do they distance themselves, believing they've outgrown those connections? A person who stays humble and loyal, regardless of their status, demonstrates a grounded sense of identity and respect for the journey that brought them to where they are. Finally, success can test a person's resilience to pressure. With achievement often comes scrutiny and expectation. Someone of strong character navigates these challenges with grace, staying focused on their goals while remaining open to growth and self-improvement. If you want to understand someone's character, observe how they handle their victories. Are they gracious, humble, and generous? Or do they become boastful, dismissive, and disconnected? Success doesn't just reward effort, it reveals the kind of person who achieves it.